Hello, today is the anniversary of the birth in 1905 of Viktor Frankl. He died back in 1987. He was an Austrian philosopher, and because of his Jewish background, he was sent, when the Nazis took power, to concentration camps. And over the next 5 years, he was in 3 separate camps. And during the Holocaust, his father, his mother, his brother and his wife all died. After the war, he emerged, and he says that one of the hardest things was to come out of such a terrible situation and found there was no one there waiting for him. He found this almost as awful as the experience of the camps. But the camps were obviously, for him and for all those who were interred in them, desperate places. But Viktor Frankl, in writing about his experience, emerged with the main thought that the one thing that you couldn't take away from somebody, whatever harm you did to them, how much suffering you put them through, was their freedom of choice. He says this: "The experiences of camp life show that humanity does have a choice of action. We who lived in concentration camps can remember people who walked through the huts comforting others, giving away their last piece of bread. They may have been few in number, but they offer sufficient proof that everything can be taken from a person but one thing, the last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." And what he's saying is very profound, and could only be said really by somebody who'd been into the depths of the experience of suffering, is that even in those moments there remains the opportunity to choose. Today, as we Christians, thinking particularly in Holy Week of Christ's suffering, give thanks for his choice. He did have a choice in those last days, as indeed he did throughout his life as a human being, going through all the things that human beings go through. He did have a choice not to go ahead with what he did eventually face, but he obviously felt that this was what he had to do, and he put his trust in God. That was, I suppose, the most fundamental of his choices, to trust God, just to bring out of his suffering something positive. I don't suppose he had a clearer idea of what would emerge from his suffering than anybody else, except to know that God would do something creative and powerful with it. And probably he felt that he was critical in that whole program that God had for the world. But he made a choice that he need not have made, and so in this Holy Week we give thanks for that, but we give thanks too for our freedom of choice. It is, for many of us here in the West, a great deal wider and broader than it is for the vast majority of the world's population. But even for us, sometimes we go through times when we feel there is only one way to go, we have no choice. But actually, in the end, the point is not which way we go, but the attitude that we choose to go along that path with. That's what I think Viktor Frankl is saying, is that whatever else happens to us, we can have an attitude that seeks to do good to others, to offer bread, like the people in the concentration camps, to people who are starving, even though we're pretty much short of it ourselves. We need to offer care even when we're not feeling particularly careful. We need to be able to find an attitude that's positive and hopeful and consistent. And if we can do that at any time, but certainly if we can do it when things are really bad for us, then I think we're discovering what it really is, if Viktor Frankl is at all right, to be a proper human being.